Hello everyone, it's Tania Gabrielle here, Wealth Astrology Numerologist, and welcome to Star Codes. Now today we're going to focus on a very powerful dynamic opposition between Mars and Uranus. Now I know we spoke about Mars last week because Mars just squared Pluto. So this dynamic opposition to Uranus is actually very important because it's setting us free, it's liberating us, and that's exactly what is going on right now, is the abdication, the relinquishing, the releasing of the old paradigm to be replaced with a brand new world, a world of peace, cooperation, and individual freedom. Now, if there is a planet of freedom, it is Uranus. So when Mars, the fire planet, opposes Uranus, the breakthrough liberation planet, there is a lot of energy at play. And because this transit is happening 2 days before the Sagittarius new moon, which happens November 26th, so Mars opposite Uranus is November 24th, it is enhanced exponentially because the new moon is basically creating a brand new experience with a huge focus on Mars opposite Uranus. Now, the Mars archetype is what we're going to look into. We're also going to cover the Uranus archetype, which is about unleashing your genius and focusing on the future. And the self-assertion of Mars, of course, comes into play for decisive action. And of course, then we'll look at Uranus opposite Mars. What does it mean? Basically, you are awakening your inner rebel. And this is so exciting because who doesn't want to be occasionally rebellious, right? So we're going to look at what you want to focus on in order to break through that stagnation, that fear that can hold us back, so you can reach the highest levels of success. And that's really what this transit is all about. And then we'll end with tips on how to leverage the star codes of Mars opposite Uranus in your personal and professional life. So that's what we're covering. So let's look at Mars first, because Mars is the go for it planet. Mars inspires. Mars hunts for a solution, a goal, a target. And so that old Nike expression, just do it, that is very much Mars in action. Mars being the masculine, very physically oriented drive. Now, channeling the Mars energy can be done in a very aggressive way or in a subtle way. So you can use this energy physically, mentally, or emotionally by being inventive, passionate, driven. And when Mars and Uranus meet up, especially because Uranus rules the higher mind, and because Mercury is currently in retrograde and will just be coming out of its retrograde when this opposition happens, it will really stimulate intellectual breakthroughs. So mindfulness, creative celebration. And so if you use your mind, if you have that outlet to channel this heightened energy through vigorous work and focusing on a project, you will not need to repress it. But if you don't have something that you can really dive into and discharge the energy, then you may become more frustrated because it needs an outlet, the fire, the freedom-seeking energy. So Mars feels most alive when your energy is directed to a purpose, towards a goal, and preferably one that isn't so easy to attain, which most really worthwhile goals, they are challenging, and Mars likes that challenge. If you look at the symbol of Mars, it is the circle with the arrow pointing diagonally up to the right. So the arrow is firing off from the center of the circle, which represents the sun. So it's like a rocket being fired into space. And a rocket needs a lot of fuel to fire the liftoff, to power up the liftoff. And so that's what you're being gifted with. You're being gifted with that fuel, with that extra energy. So you can accomplish a lot. You can master a lot. You can do something great with all this extra Mars energy. Because any Mars transit, especially an opposition or a square, it will literally propel you to say, okay, I need to trust my instinct and just go for it. Mars is incredibly instinctual. And the sun is tied to your inner fire. So that propelling of the arrow for the Mars symbol, it's basically pointing the arrow towards, well, what is my purpose? What is my life purpose, right? And that's something you can discover easily by just knowing what your birthday totals. That's called your life purpose in numerology. And I cover that in my free masterclass at starcodeclass.com. So head on over there if you want to know more about your purpose and also your destiny. That's where we dive into your birth certificate name. It's a really fun free class, and I think you'll really enjoy it. It's the perfect time to take it at starcodeclass.com. Now, Uranus, the other planet, is the archetype of the wild card. So Uranus disrupts and changes the status quo. So it energetically frees you up to break the routine as you try new things. And so the breaking free of old patterns is really reinforced when Uranus is activated. Uranus gambles on the future. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. Aquarius governs the 11th house in astrology. The 11th house is focused on your future goals, your future dreams. Now, what Uranus really activates is that we are all individual, we are unique, and we all experience the world in a different way. So we don't need to judge others for how they seek to experience their life, right? The way they express themselves. Now, when we were young, many of us were taught to hide our uniqueness and to conform, whether it was for school or religion or family purposes. We needed to just blend in and not stir things up. Now, Uranus is shattering conformity right now, and Mars is helping set the record straight before the big stellium happens, literally weeks later in early January in Capricorn, which is the sign that is about leadership and corporations and anything that is a big business, big government. It is basically going to be stripped down, and we're going to be shattering what we thought was the top-down leadership model. So the conformity is going out the window, and this opposition with Uranus and Mars is like the first real, oh my God, it's really happening moment. Not that we haven't experienced it already, but that urge to unleash your inner wild child is coming into play. And so you don't want to be holding back just because others might think you're weird or quirky or out there. Why care about that? That's what Uranus is saying. Uranus wants to get you excited about your individual potential, because Uranus is really the inventor archetype, the mad scientist, the rebel, and ferociously independent. So Uranus doesn't care one bit about other people's opinions and rules and regulations, because Uranus just has to go and get inspired and move forward into a very new future. So Uranus takes its own path and walks on trails that are less traveled. So that requires a lot of space to be yourself, space to create. And, because Uranus isn't exactly civilized, it needs that space to feel inspired, to not feel closed in. This Capricorn event that's coming up in early January, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that hasn't happened in Capricorn for 500 years, and they will be joined by the Sun and Mercury, is really a powerful moment in human history. And so we are now being asked to not do business as usual. So the only choice we have is to embrace a change in our attitude and a change in our beliefs, and to not follow those old paradigms that are set forth by mainstream media and the news and cultural expectations and politics and academia and corporate. They will not apply anymore as the years go on, and we really see the new Aquarius energy. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, and the Aquarian age is upon us. So this is really powerful. We need to push the envelope of what's possible. We want to release the inner conformist. We don't want to be a conformist anymore. We want to embrace being unique, being out there, and understanding that, hey, life is ours to make the way we feel we feel joy. Nobody else can tell us that. Nobody else can tell you what will make you happy except you, because you're the one who's feeling it. Now, when Mars opposes Uranus, you need to consciously direct that fiery temperamental energy towards a goal. Remember, Mars has the arrow, the rocket ship launching. So this goal has to fire you up creatively and passionately. And so when Uranus moves into this position opposite Mars, which will be exact November 24th, it will have a very strong liberating impact. It'll fire you up to act, especially on your more unusual ideas. And so being creative is a must, because you have to release the tension somehow. So this sort of fast switching of the gears has a very liberating impact that will unleash a sensuality as well, because Mars rules that part of the libido. And so you can use that energy, that sexual energy, in a creative way as well. It's so important, that second chakra, right? So you definitely want to break away from authority, break away from restriction, guard against communicating with anger, because Mars can get, rash, and take adventurous risks. Take those creative breakthroughs are so important. Allowing that instinctual awareness to be heard and be seen and be able to make those quick decisions that will take you on a new path that empowers you. So be prepared for surprising developments. So as usual, know your code as well. Understand who you are at soul level. Go to starcodeclass.com, because all of that info is intel for your soul and helps you understand which direction actually makes sense for you, right, at soul level. So how do we take advantage of this incredible opposition that's happening literally weeks before the big event in January, the stellium? Well, as it happens on the same day, November 24th, we have a beautiful conjunction between Venus and Jupiter, the two benefics in astrology. It couldn't get better than this. So this is really opening up the energy in terms of harmony and optimization. You can optimize your goals in a very fortunate way, because Jupiter and Venus are all about feeling good, feeling loved, feeling affectionate, feeling abundant, focusing on financial expansion, being passionately engaged through beauty, through joy, and experiencing life in terms of the uplifting side of things, right? The inner artist in you, and love, and new romance, and like I said, just feeling prosperous. So it's a very lucky transit when Jupiter and Venus come together, and that's happening the same day. So pretty awesome. Also, to say numerologically, November 24th, the number 24 not only represents 24/7, 24 hours in the day, but our life in general as humans is about love and nurturing. 24 reduced to 6. 6 is the number of caring, of being of service, right? Of connecting through compassion. And so this is also all activated on the same day. So now let's look at some tips and takeaways to just help us through this very potent moment here as Mercury retrograde ends and we have Mars opposite Uranus, and so much coming up. The eclipses start in December as well. So this is a really pivotal moment. So first of all, just know that the majority of fears that you have actually never happen. So you must ban fears from your brain. You must basically not let fear live in your mind, because it's really such a draining energy. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time. And it puts you in a place where you're just not going to be open to explore that inner wild child, that inner adventurer. So fear takes away valuable real estate, if you want to look at it that way. And that valuable real estate is your imagination and inspiration. So banning fear, being afraid, is the key to Uranus opposite Mars, because fears will weigh down your dreams. They will basically zap you energetically and zap you of joy and zap your creativity. So a good thing to do if you feel anxious is to go out, and if you can get outside, But even if not, physical exercise is such a useful outlet to channel frustrations or any kind of anxiousness that may manifest during this time, because there are going to be a lot of unexpected developments with Mars opposite Uranus. And, some people don't like the surprise element of life. So, it is what it is. You just need to move that body. Mars is very physical. So get out there. Guard against exceeding certain limits, because you may overestimate the energy you have and you may overdo it. So just be aware of that. Knowing where to stop is very important during this cycle. Take the lead. Mars is also about leadership. Even when you have to go it alone, it is very, very important to lead, but you want to plan carefully. You want to act creatively without expectations so that you're ready to adjust when those surprises come. And they come very quickly when Mars is involved, because Mars wants things instantly. Mars is very impatient. So you will have just in general, the energy just move rapidly. So you want to be ready for that, poised and ready. Use the surprise factor to your advantage by you yourself doing the unexpected to begin with. That way you're channeling the energy, you're making sense of it. And so this is an important moment to seize the moment and to let go of, hey, what do I not need to seize? You need to intuit the difference between what really feels Mars inspired, and Mars is so about your gut. So if your gut says yes, go for it. If not, don't. Now, this is really important with the opposition because we're bringing energy into harmony. So having a positive, passionate attitude impacts your actual aptitude. So remember, your attitude and your aptitude, your ability to be conscious and intelligent and make wise decisions, are connected. So a positive attitude changes and enhances your aptitude by taking your vibration up to a higher altitude. So remember those three key words: attitude impacts aptitude and takes your vibration to a higher altitude. So they're all interconnected. So basically you want to keep focused on your blessings. That's really important. And you need to conceive your future, which is Uranus, as an expanding horizon of opportunities. So you're not moving upwards and downwards anymore like the pyramid. That is what we're dismantling. We're moving side by side. We're not going top-down leadership anymore. We're moving laterally across the spectrum. So we have to watch for opportunities because they're ever expanding, and your horizon is forever, right? So those opportunities are everywhere. They're in your career, they're in your personal life, they're there for you spiritually. This is very, very exciting this time. And I want you to really understand the movement of that horizon of opportunities. It's a horizon. It's not this top down anymore. Okay, very important. Now, Uranus opposite Mars reminds you to reinvent yourself regularly, all the time. And that allows you to be open and infinitely increase your set of realities. It allows you to seize the day because you are not shutting down to anything that is going to come your way. You just have to open up to it. So you reach your goals by walking every day towards that beautiful destination that you have in your mind and heart. So have that ready to go. That rocket ship has to go somewhere. It's got to dock somewhere, right? There's a harbor, a safe harbor for that rocket to go. And you want to send it off, and you want to have in mind exactly what the destination is. And just remember, speaking of rockets and galaxies, is we all come from the stars. Keep that in mind at all times. You have infinite potential, and this Uranus-Mars opposition is an opening for you, an opposition opening for you to bring energy into harmony by firing off who you are, your great, great creative potential. So have an incredible week, and Remember to discover your star code at starcodeclass.com. It's a free masterclass, which I know you're going to love. It's going to help you so much just to see who you are at soul level. And I will see you and be in touch with you again next week for our next episode of Star Codes.